The Cleveland Browns aren't so much a football team as they are. Here includes legends like Tim Couch, Kelly Holcomb, Jeff Garcia, Derek Anderson, Brady Quinn, Brandon Whedon, Johnny Manziel, and dozens of others whose names are burned into the nightmares of Browns fans everywhere. Tim Couch was the first overall pick in 1999. He was supposed to be the face of the franchise, the foundation they'd build around. Instead, he got destroyed behind terrible offensive lines and became a cautionary tale about throwing rookies to the wolves. But the real fun started when they decided to get creative with their quarterback selections. In 2007, they traded up to draft Brady Quinn in the first round, then watched him sit behind Derek Anderson, who somehow had a Pro Bowl season that same year. Quinn never lived up to the hype, and Anderson proved that 2007 was a beautiful accident that would never happen again. Then came 2012 and one of the most Browns decisions in Browns history. They had the 4th overall pick. Andrew Luck went first to Indianapolis. Robert Griffin III went second to Washington. The Dolphins took Ryan Tannehill 8th overall. Who did the Browns take? Running back Trent Richardson. Now, Richardson wasn't terrible. He had a decent rookie season. But here's where it gets peak Browns. They traded him to Indianapolis the very next year for a first-round pick. So, they used a top 5 pick on a running back, then traded him away after one season for roughly the same value they could have gotten by just trading the pick in the first place. Oh wait, it gets worse. With that Richardson trade, they got the 26th pick in 2014. Who did they take? Johnny Manziel. Johnny Football, the poster boy for wasted talent and poor decision-making. The Browns knew he had red flags. Everyone knew he had red flags. His college coach basically said he wasn't ready for the NFL. But Cleveland couldn't resist the shiny object. The Johnny Manziel era lasted exactly 2 seasons and produced more TMZ headlines than touchdown passes. He threw 7 touchdowns to 7 interceptions, went to rehab twice, and became the punchline for every Browns joke in America. But here's the thing about Manziel. At least he was entertaining. The real crime was what the Browns did with their quarterback evaluation process. They created something called the Analytics Department, led by a guy named Paul DePodesta, who came from baseball's Moneyball revolution. DePodesta was supposed to bring scientific rigor to football decisions. Instead, he brought scientific rigor to being wrong about quarterbacks. In 2016, the Browns had the 2nd overall pick. Carson Wentz was sitting right there, a big, strong-armed quarterback who had just led North Dakota State to another championship. The Eagles wanted him badly enough to trade up for him. What did the Browns do? They traded the pick to Philadelphia and said Wentz wasn't good enough to be a top 20 quarterback in the NFL. DePodesta literally said, "We just didn't feel like it was necessarily the right bet to make for us at this time." He said they couldn't invent a quarterback if one didn't exist in the draft. Wentz went on to play at an MVP level in 2017 before an injury, helping the Eagles secure home field advantage on their way to a Super Bowl win. The Browns, they went 1-15 and 0-16 in back-to-back seasons. And it wasn't just Wentz. The Browns had another chance at redemption in 2017. They picked 1st overall and took Myles Garrett, which was actually the right call. But then they had the 12th pick, courtesy of that Wentz trade. Deshaun Watson was sitting there, the kid from Clemson who had just beaten Alabama for a national championship. The Browns looked at Watson, a proven winner with a rocket arm, and said, "Nah, we're good." They traded the pick to Houston, and the Texans took Watson. Watson proceeded to light up the league as a rookie, throwing 19 touchdowns in just 7 games before getting hurt. Meanwhile, the Browns started Deshaun Kaiser, who threw 22 interceptions and helped them go 0-16. But somehow, the Browns' quarterback evaluation got even worse. In 2018, they finally got it right by taking Baker Mayfield 1st overall. Mayfield had swagger, talent, and the ability to actually throw touchdown passes. He broke the rookie touchdown record and gave Cleveland hope for the first time in decades. But then they completely screwed it up. Instead of building around Mayfield, they hired Freddie Kitchens as head coach, a guy who had been a running backs coach most of his career. They loaded up on talent, had huge expectations, and then proceeded to go 6-10 in one of the most disappointing seasons in Browns history. They fired Kitchens after 1 year and brought in Kevin Stefanski, who actually seemed competent. Mayfield had some good moments, but then got hurt in 2021 and played through shoulder and knee injuries that clearly affected his performance. Instead of supporting their franchise quarterback through adversity, the Browns did what they do best. They panicked. In March 2022, they traded for Deshaun Watson and gave him a fully guaranteed $230 million contract. This was after Watson had sat out an entire season due to sexual assault allegations and hadn't played football in over a year. Let me repeat that. They gave the largest guaranteed contract in NFL history to a guy who hadn't played football in a year and had serious legal issues. The move backfired spectacularly. Watson got suspended for 11 games, played terribly when he came back, got injured repeatedly, and has been one of the worst starting quarterbacks in the league. Jimmy Haslam, the Browns owner, recently admitted the Watson trade was a big swing and a miss, but the quarterback disasters are just the tip of the iceberg. The Browns have been equally awful at almost every other position. In 2009, they spent their first-round pick on Alex Mack, a center. Not a bad player, but you don't usually spend first-round picks on centers. Then they let him walk in free agency 6 years later. In 2011, they took Phil Taylor, a nose tackle, in the first round. He was out of the league by 2015. In 2013, they had 2 first-round picks. They took defensive end Barkevious Mingo, who was mediocre, and traded away another high pick for more picks that they also wasted. The following year, they used their first-rounders on Justin Gilbert, who was a bust, and Johnny Manziel, which speaks for itself. The Browns have also been a masterclass in hiring the wrong coaches. Since 1999, they've had 10 different head coaches. Chris Palmer lasted 2 years and went 5-27. Butch Davis went 24-35 and quit mid-season. Romeo Crennel went 24-40 and made the defense worse every year. Eric Mangini went 10-22 and made everyone miserable. Pat Shurmur went 9-23 and confused quarterbacks for a living. Rob Chudzinski went 4-12 and got fired after 1 season. Mike Pettin went 10-22 and specialized in moral victories. Hue Jackson went 3-36-1 and made history for all the wrong reasons. Freddie Kitchens went 6-10 and proved that being a good coordinator doesn't make you a good head coach. Kevin Stefanski has gone 40-44 overall and just came off a losing season. Hue Jackson deserves special mention for going 1-31 in his first 2 seasons. That's the worst 2-year stretch by any coach in NFL history. He somehow kept his job after going 0-16, then got fired 8 games into the next season after starting 2-5-1. But the real problem with the Browns isn't just the bad decisions. It's the consistent pattern of making the same mistakes over and over again. Jimmy Haslam has been the common thread through most of this dysfunction. He's meddled in football decisions, created toxic environments, and changed direction every time something goes wrong. According to reports from inside the organization, Haslam listens to too many people and changes his mind constantly. That's not leadership. That's chaos with a business suit on. The Browns have also created a toxic culture where nobody knew who was really in charge. They had analytics guys fighting with football guys, coaches who didn't trust the front office, and players who gave up because they knew everyone would be gone next year anyway. In 2025, they ranked 30th out of 32 teams in the NFL Players Association survey. Players complained about everything from facilities to communication to medical staff. One analyst said the locker room was full of whiny guys, but maybe the players have a right to complain when the organization has been this dysfunctional for this long. And here's the cruelest part about the Browns story. They've had moments where it looked like they might finally turn it around. In 2007, they went 10-6 with Derek Anderson and almost made the playoffs. In 2014, they started 7-4 before collapsing down the stretch. In 2020, they made the playoffs for the first time since 1994 and even won a playoff game. Each time, Browns fans allow themselves to hope. Each time, the organization found a way to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. Fast forward to the 2025 draft, they've pulled a move only the Browns could pull. They took both Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel. 2 quarterbacks in 1 draft. It's either a stroke of genius or a sign they still don't have a clue what they're doing. And if history is any guide, Browns fans should probably prepare for disappointment. Because this team isn't just bad at football, they're bad at being a football team. And until they finally figure out how to break their cycle of dysfunction, they'll keep serving as an example of how not to run an NFL franchise. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Also, like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. See you on the next one.